The Desperate Alliance. The vast chamber of the Galactic Confederation's High Council hung in an uncomfortable silence. Holographic displays flickered across the circular room, each one depicting another system lost to the void. Ambassador Thela of the Oraxian Collective stood motionless, her forearms clasped tightly in the formal posture of grave news as she addressed the gathered representatives of over 300 species. Counselors, the Void Armada has breached the Krell defense line. 37 worlds have gone dark in the past rotation alone. Her voice carried the weight of exhaustion. Our calculations project total Confederation collapse within 70 rotations. The chamber erupted in panic. Some representatives shouted accusations, others fell into stunned silence, and a few began drafting emergency evacuation protocols for their homeworlds. High Minister Joel Tan of the Galactic Confederation rose slowly, his ancient form supported by a hovering mobility chair. The chamber fell silent as he spoke, his voice thin, but carrying the weight of 10,000 years of leadership. We have deployed every weapon in our arsenal. We have united the greatest minds of 1,000 worlds. We have sacrificed billions to slow their advance. His breathing was labored. And yet, the void consumes all. Thela stepped forward, her violet skin shimmering under the chamber lights. There is one option we have not considered. The silence that followed was different, tense, fearful. High Minister Joel Tan's eyes narrowed. You speak of legends, Ambassador, dangerous ones. I speak of survival, Thela replied firmly. Of a species we erased from our history. A species too unpredictable, too violent to be part of our confederation. The chamber filled with hisses and clicks of disapproval. Many representatives activated personal shields, as if mere words could contaminate them. Humans. Joel Tan spoke the word like a forbidden curse. You propose we contact the humans. Thela projected a series of coordinates onto the main display. We didn't destroy them, as our histories claim. We quarantined their system, sealed it away behind quantum barriers, and erased all records of their existence. But they're still there. For good reason, shouted the representative of the Trill hierarchy. They nearly destroyed the Palaxian Empire over a misunderstanding. The Palaxians tried to impose population control on a human colony. Thela countered. The humans responded, disproportionately. They turned an entire moon into a weapon, hissed another counselor. Their creativity is matched only by their capacity for violence. Thela looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative. And what does the void do to the worlds it encounters? Is it not violence beyond measure? Are we not facing extinction? She paused. I would rather face the devil we banished than the one consuming our worlds. 3 rotations later, Thela's ship entered the forbidden coordinates at the edge of explored space. According to classified records she'd accessed, a series of unmanned quantum barrier generators surrounded the Sol system, creating an impenetrable shield that prevented both entry and exit. Ambassador, we're detecting no barrier, her pilot reported, confusion evident in his multifaceted eyes. Thela felt a chill run through her body. Scan for debris. Anything that might have been the barrier generators. Nothing, Ambassador. The approach is completely clear. This was wrong. The records indicated an elaborate containment system, yet they were approaching Earth unimpeded. Either the records were false, or something had happened to the barriers. Proceed with caution, she ordered. As they approached the third planet, Thela expected to find a primitive world, isolated for over 800 years. Instead, her sensors detected massive orbital structures, energy signatures beyond Confederation technology, and thousands of ships moving in coordinated patterns. They've advanced, she whispered. How is this possible? Her communication system activated without prompt, and a human face appeared on the screen. Female, with features suggesting East Asian ancestry according to the old records, wearing a uniform of deep blue with silver insignia. Oraxian vessel, you are entering restricted space. Identify yourself and state your purpose. The human's voice was calm, carried unmistakable authority. Thela straightened her posture. I am Ambassador Thela of the Araxian Collective, representing the Galactic Confederation. I seek audience on a matter of grave importance. The human's expression remained unchanged. The Confederation that sealed our system and erased us from history. That Confederation. Thela felt her secondary hearts quicken. Yes, we face extinction and require your assistance. A long pause followed. The human's eyes seemed to be reading information off-screen. Proceed to these coordinates. Any deviation will result in immediate destruction of your vessel. The transmission cutoff as coordinates appeared on their navigation system. They were directed to a massive space station in high Earth orbit. As they approached, Thela saw it was unlike any Confederation design. All angles and asymmetrical sections, seemingly chaotic yet clearly functional. It dwarfed her diplomatic vessel. In the docking bay, Thela was met by a small contingent of humans in the same blue uniforms. At their head stood the woman from the transmission. Ambassador Thela, I am Commander Elena Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to Sentinel Station. Her words were polite, but her stance was guarded. Thela performed the Araxian greeting, all four arms moving in precise patterns. Thank you for receiving me, Commander. 800 years of silence, and now you arrive seeking help. Commander Chen led her through corridors bustling with activity. Forgive me if our hospitality seems lacking. They entered a chamber with a large circular table. A dozen humans of various ethnicities sat waiting, their expressions uniformly skeptical. The Defense Council, Commander Chen explained. The governing body of Earth's military and exploration forces. An older human with dark skin and gray hair spoke first. Ambassador, we've monitored the void's advance through the galaxy. We know why you're here. Thela felt a chill run through her body. How could you possibly? The barriers around our system failed 300 years ago, Commander Chen explained. We could have left, expanded, reconnected with the galaxy. Instead, we chose to watch, to prepare. You knew about the void. A thin human with pale skin and augmented eyes nodded. We've been studying it since it first appeared at the galaxy's edge. Our long-range probes have documented its progress, while your Confederation tried to pretend it wasn't a threat until too late. Thela felt her world shift. The Confederation had only recognized the void as an existential threat 50 years ago. These humans had been preparing for centuries. Then you understand why I'm here, she said. Commander Chen's expression hardened. We understand that after imprisoning us, after declaring us too dangerous to exist in your precious Confederation, you now want us to fight your war. Not our war, Thela countered. The galaxy's war. Your war too, eventually. The void will come here once the Confederation falls. Perhaps, said the older human. But we have time. We have defenses. Why should we sacrifice our people for a Confederation that attempted to erase us? Thela reached into her ceremonial robe and placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of a system being consumed by the void. Darkness spreading like infection across planets, ships disintegrating, billions dying in moments. This was the Proxima Centauri system, she said quietly. Your closest stellar neighbor. The void will be here within 5 years, with or without the Confederation's fall. The humans exchanged glances. Commander Chen leaned forward. What exactly are you asking of us, Ambassador? Your technology. Your warriors. She hesitated. Your particular approach to warfare. The void adapts to conventional tactics. We need something it cannot predict. A younger human with a cybernetic arm laughed bitterly. You need our unpredictability, our violence. Everything you feared enough to lock us away. Yes, Thela admitted. We need what we once feared. Commander Chen stood abruptly. Ambassador, you will be shown to quarters. We need time to discuss this among ourselves. As Thela was escorted out, she caught fragments of heated debate already beginning among the humans. Her guide led her to a surprisingly comfortable chamber with a viewport overlooking Earth, a blue jewel wrapped in the elaborate infrastructure of a civilization that had advanced in isolation. Hours later, Commander Chen entered her quarters. Her expression was unreadable. "We have questions," she said simply. "About the Confederation's intentions should we help. About guarantees for our future." Thela nodded. "Of course. But first," Chen continued, "I want to show you something." They took a transport to a different section of the massive station. Chen led her through security checkpoints to a vast observation deck overlooking the hidden construction bay. What Thela saw made her forearms tremble in instinctive fear. Ships, thousands of them. But not like any vessels in the Confederation fleet. These were darker, angular, bristling with weapons systems she couldn't identify. And they were massive, dwarfing even the legendary dreadnoughts of the Krell. "Our Phantom Fleet," Chen explained. "Ships designed to fight the Void specifically. We've been building them for 2 centuries. "How?" Thela breathed. "How did you know how to design them?" Chen's eyes reflected the lights of the fleet below. "Because we've encountered the Void before, Ambassador. Long before it reached Confederation space." Thela felt her world tilt once again. "The Void isn't a natural phenomenon," Chen continued. "It's a weapon, created by beings from beyond our galaxy. We encountered a scout force 700 years ago, shortly before your Confederation decided we were too dangerous to exist." "That's impossible," Thela whispered. "Our records would show." "Your records were manipulated," Chen cut her off. "By those within your leadership who served the Void's masters." The revelation hit Thela like physical blow. Could it be true? Was the Confederation's decision to quarantine humanity not about their unpredictability, but because they knew something they shouldn't? "We can help you," Chen said, turning to face her directly. "But not on the Confederation's terms, on ours." Thela looked again at the massive fleet, built in secret by a species preparing for a war the rest of the galaxy hadn't even understood until it was too late. "What are your terms, Commander?" Chen's expression was grim but determined. "First, the truth must be told about why we were really quarantined. Second, Earth must be granted independence, not Confederation membership. And third," she paused, "you must understand that our methods will not follow Confederation protocols. We fight to win, Ambassador, by any means necessary." Thela thought of the billions already lost to the Void, of the systems going dark one by one, of the Confederation, paralyzed by procedure and politics in the face of extinction. "Whatever it takes," she agreed. "Whatever it takes to stop the Void." When darkness falls, the Confederation Council chamber was in uproar. High Minister Joel Tan struggled to maintain order as representatives shouted over each other, their unified government fracturing under the weight of Thela's revelation. "Lies," shouted the Trill representative. "Human manipulation." Thela stood firm at the center of the chamber, Commander Chen beside her. The human woman stood perfectly still, seemingly unaffected by the chaos around her. "The evidence has been verified by your own security protocols," Thela responded, her voice amplified above the din. 6 members of the High Council were compromised, serving the interests of the beings controlling the Void. Joel Tan raised a gnarled hand, and silence gradually returned to the chamber. "The accused have been detained. Their communications records confirm Ambassador Thela's claims." His ancient eyes turned to Commander Chen. "It seems we owe humanity an apology that 8 centuries cannot satisfy." Chen's expression remained neutral. "Save your apologies, Minister. We're not here for reconciliation. We're here to stop the Void before it consumes us all." The tactical display in the center of the chamber activated, showing the current position of the Void Armada, a spreading darkness consuming star systems at an accelerating pace. "The Void will reach the Arcturus Gateway in 15 days, Chen continued. "That's where we'll make our stand, not to defend, but to attack." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Arcturus Gateway was a strategic choke point, but conventional wisdom said it was indefensible against the Void's forces. Attack. The Krell War Commander's translator conveyed his disbelief. Nothing has successfully attacked the void. It absorbs energy weapons, adapts to projectiles, and its ships self-repair. You've been fighting the symptoms, not the disease, Chen replied. She gestured, and the display changed to show a different model of the void's advance. At the heart of the Void Armada is a control nexus. Our intelligence indicates it contains the beings directing the void's expansion. Intelligence? What intelligence? Demanded another counselor. For centuries, we've sent stealth probes into void-controlled space, Chen explained. Microscopic devices, biological in nature, designed to be overlooked by even the void's sensors. We've been mapping their command structure, studying their technology, and identifying their weaknesses. The display changed again, showing the interior architecture of what appeared to be a massive void vessel. We will lead a strike force through the Arcturus Gateway. While the Confederation fleet engages their outer defenses, our Phantom fleet will penetrate to the control nexus and deploy our weapon. What weapon could possibly? Began the Trill representative. You don't need to know, Chen cut him off. And you wouldn't understand it if I explained. What matters is whether you will commit your forces to this plan. It's the only chance any of us have. The chamber fell silent. Thela watched as centuries of fear and prejudice battled with the instinct for survival in the eyes of the council members. Finally, High Minister Joltan spoke. The Confederation will follow humanity's lead in this matter. May the universe forgive us if we've made another mistake. Aboard the Phantom Fleet flagship Defiance, Commander Chen stood on the bridge as final preparations were made. The massive vessel hummed with energy, its systems unlike anything the Confederation had ever developed. Thela approached, watching as humans worked with quiet efficiency at their stations. Your people seem very calm, considering what we face. Chen's eyes remained on the tactical display. We've been preparing for this moment for generations, Ambassador. Every human alive today was born knowing this battle would come. And yet you never tried to warn us, Thela observed, even after the barriers fell. Would you have believed us? Chen asked, finally turning to face her. Or would you have seen it as confirmation of humanity's dangerous nature? A species obsessed with a non-existent threat, building weapons for an imaginary war. Thela had no answer. The truth was uncomfortable. The Confederation would have dismissed human warnings as paranoia, or worse, as justification for preemptive action against Earth. We're receiving the signal, announced a communications officer. Confederation fleet is in position. Chen nodded. All ships, final preparations. T-minus 10 minutes to gateway transit. The Arcturus Gateway loomed ahead, a massive spatial anomaly that connected multiple star systems through subspace, and beyond it waited the void. Ambassador, Chen said quietly, you should return to the Confederation command ship. What comes next? She paused. It's better if you're not on board. Thela straightened her posture, all four arms moving into a position of resolve. My place is here, Commander, to witness what humanity does for a galaxy that wronged them. Chen studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. The countdown reached 0, and the Phantom fleet entered the gateway. The transition was instantaneous. One moment they faced empty space, the next they emerged into chaos. The void filled the viewport, a swirling mass of darkness punctuated by eerie purple lightning. Within it, thousands of ships moved in perfect, inhuman coordination. They were angular, asymmetrical, more like living organisms than constructed vessels. All ships, defensive pattern Sigma, Chen ordered calmly. Engage phase shift drives. The Phantom fleet seemed to flicker, becoming partially transparent as they activated technology Thela had never seen before. The void vessels immediately adjusted their formation, weapons charging, but their energy beams passed harmlessly through the human ships. Phase shift technology, Chen explained, noting Thela's amazement. Our vessels exist partially in a different dimension. They can see us, but they can't touch us. How long can you maintain this? 3 minutes before the void adapts. That's all we need. The Phantom fleet accelerated toward the heart of the Void Armada, ignoring the smaller vessels, driving straight toward an enormous structure that pulsed with malevolent energy. The control nexus, Chen pointed, home to the architects, the beings who created the void as a weapon to cleanse galaxies before they arrived to harvest the remains. A shudder ran through the ship. On the tactical display, Thilla saw void vessels changing, their structures morphing to emit a different energy signature. They're adapting faster than expected, an officer reported. Phase shift effectiveness down to 60% and dropping. Chen's expression remained unchanged. Accelerate timetable. All ships prepare to deploy the resonance array. Throughout the fleet, bay doors opened. From each ship emerged what looked like crystalline satellites, hundreds of them, forming a complex geometric pattern as they spread through space. The void ships began scoring hits now. 2 human vessels erupted in silent explosions. Their crews lost instantly. Array formation complete, reported the tactical officer. Ready on your command. Chen turned to Thila. Ambassador, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our capacity for violence. It's our understanding of connections. She activated a command on her console. Initiate resonance protocol. The crystalline devices activated simultaneously, creating a web of energy that connected them all. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Thila noticed something extraordinary. The void ships nearest the array began to vibrate, their structures losing cohesion. What is happening? She asked, unable to hide her astonishment. Quantum resonance, Chen replied. The void technology is connected at a quantum level. Control signal flows through subspace from the architects to every ship, every weapon. We're disrupting that signal, turning their greatest strength into their ultimate vulnerability. On the display, the disruption spread like ripples in water, each affected void ship transmitting the resonance pattern to others nearby. The control nexus itself began to shudder, great cracks appearing in its obsidian surface. A massive energy surge erupted from the nexus. Emergency alarms blared across the bridge. They're attempting to reset the quantum network, Chen announced. All ships maintain array integrity. The Defiance rocked violently as void energy tore into its hull. Systems failed across the bridge, emergency power activating to keep life support functioning. Array integrity at 40%, called out an officer through the smoke. We're losing the pattern. Chen's face showed emotion for the first time. Determination mixed with resignation. Initiate Protocol Omega. All ships withdraw except Defiance. Commander. Thila moved toward her, understanding dawning. What are you doing? What's necessary, Ambassador? Chen looked at her directly. The resonance disruption needs a focal point, something to channel the feedback directly into the nexus. A ship, this ship. The rest of the Phantom fleet began retreating, pulling back through the gateway while the Defiance moved closer to the control nexus, the remaining resonance devices clustering around it. You can't sacrifice yourself, Thila insisted. There must be another way. Chen smiled slightly. There's always another way, but not always a better one. She gestured to an escape pod. That's programmed to return through the gateway. You should go. Thila stood her ground. My people have a saying. Those who witness must testify. I will stay. For a moment, Chen looked as though she would argue. Instead, she nodded with newfound respect. Then bear witness, Ambassador, to humanity's final service to a galaxy that feared us. The Defiance accelerated toward the wounded nexus, its engines pushing beyond safe parameters. The viewports polarized as energy discharges intensified around them. Resonance at maximum, called an officer. Impact in 30 seconds. Chen opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Commander Chen. The mission proceeds as planned. Remember Earth. Remember why we fight. As the ship hurtled toward the nexus, Thila watched in awe as the humans continued working at their stations, calm, focused, accepting of their fate. There was no panic, no despair, only grim determination. Impact in 5 seconds, came the final report. Chen looked to Thela one last time. Tell them who we really were. The collision was unlike anything Thela had ever witnessed. The Defiance didn't simply crash into the Nexus. It seemed to merge with it, the resonance devices creating a feedback loop that amplified exponentially. The control nexus imploded, pulling surrounding void ships into its collapse. A blinding flash engulfed everything, and Thela lost consciousness. She awoke in the Confederation medical facility, her injuries treated but her mind still reeling from what she had witnessed. Outside her recovery chamber's window, she could see the remnants of the combined fleet, Confederation ships, and the surviving human vessels working together to secure the Arcturus gateway. High Minister Joel Tan entered slowly, his ancient form seeming to have aged further in the days since the battle. "The void is retreating," he announced without preamble. "With the destruction of the control nexus, their network has collapsed. Individual ships remain, but without coordination, they're being eliminated systematically." Thela tried to sit up. And the humans, the Defiance. Joltan's expression conveyed all she needed to know. Commander Chen and her crew are gone. They knew it was a one-way mission. They all did. They saved us all, Thela whispered, after everything we did to them. Yes. The High Minister moved to the window, watching as a human vessel expertly maneuvered to assist a damaged Confederation cruiser. We must ask ourselves what kind of civilization imprisons its saviors. 3 months later, Thela stood in the newly renamed Chamber of Unity, formerly the Confederation Council Chamber. The circular room was filled beyond capacity, representatives from every world in attendance as a historic agreement was signed. The Earth Alliance, as humans now called their government, was recognized as a sovereign power equal to the Confederation. The last of the human ships returned to Earth, carrying with them the respect and gratitude of a galaxy they had saved. Thela approached the new human ambassador, a distinguished older woman named Admiral Rice, who had overseen the Phantom Fleet's construction. "We still have much to learn about each other," Thela said. "Centuries of separation to overcome." Admiral Rice nodded. "And centuries of justified distrust. But it's a beginning." "What I still don't understand," Thela admitted, "is why. Why Commander Chen and her crew would sacrifice themselves for a galaxy that rejected humanity." The Admiral's eyes filled with something complex: pride, sadness, determination. "Because that's who we are, Ambassador. Humans don't fight because we're violent by nature. We fight to protect, even those who fear us, even those who try to erase us." She looked out at the assembled delegates. "We were never the monsters your histories painted us to be. We were guardians waiting for the darkness we knew would come." Thela felt both shame and hope in equal measure. The Confederation had feared humanity's unpredictability, their capacity for both creation and destruction. They had failed to recognize that these same qualities, properly directed, would be the salvation of all. "Commander Chen asked me to tell the truth about who you really were," Thela said quietly. "I intend to honor that request for as long as I live." Above them, the chamber's central dome had been redesigned. Where once it had displayed the Confederation emblem alone, it now showed 2 symbols side by side: the ancient spiral of the Galactic Confederation and the new emblem of the Earth Alliance, a simple shield protecting a galaxy of stars. Silent guardians, no longer hidden, no longer feared, finally understood.